So in the previous lecture, we seen if we run a river against this particular network, the network will get locked and we won't be able to brute force the WPS pin because the network will just refuse any requests. So we said one of the ways to try and reset or get the network to get unlocked is to just run a deauthentication attack like we did before and hope that one of the users will just go in and physically turn off the router and then turn it back on. And we said this is not a great way because we actually were relying on a person to go and turn off the router. But it has a high chance of success because what would you do when you lose internet connection? Most people would just go and turn off their router and turn it back on. So in this lecture, we're going to use a tool called MDK3, and we're going to use it to run a DDoS attack, a denial of service attack basically, on the target network. And in some routers, this attack will just flood the router and then it'll cause the router to reset automatically. And then when it resets, it will get unlocked as well. So we'll be able to run River and start guessing the WPS pin again. And since River supports pause and resume, this can work really well. So even if you're at 60% and then the router locks, you can just Control-C River, run this attack, get the router to be unlocked, and then run the attack again. And it'll start from 60%. It's not going to start from 0. So I'm just going to split the screen here. And I'm just going to run the tool that we're going to be using. It's called MDK3. And I'm going to type in help just to see the options that this tool gives us. And you can see that this tool actually let us run a number of attacks and the test modes are listed in here. So the way the tool works is you specify the name of the tool, you follow it up with your interface in monitor mode, and then you follow it with the test mode, which are listed in here, and then you give it the options for each of these test modes. For this lecture, we're going to be using the A option, which is the authentication DOS mode. So to see all the options and get more information about this attack, we're going to do MDK3 -- help and then put the test mode, which is A. So I'm just going to do MDK3 -- help, and then I'm going to put A. And this will give us more information about the attack that we want to do. So it's going to be an authentication DOS mode. It's going to send authentication frames to the AP. So basically what it's going to do is we're going to specify a MAC address for our target, and MDK3 will create fake MAC addresses and get all of these MAC addresses to pretend as if they're computers or clients, and these clients are trying to connect to that network. When there is a very large number of clients trying to connect to one network, to one router, some routers will not be able to handle all this demand and they'll actually just restart and reset everything. And when they do that, they'll unlock WPS and we'll be able to run River again. So if you run MDK3 with the A option, it'll do that on all the networks around you. So it's going to create a very large number of clients and it's going to get all of these clients to connect to all the networks around you. And we don't want that. We only want to target one network. So we're going to specify the target network with the -A option to specify the target MAC. And we're also going to use -M to tell it that we want you to use valid MACs, so MACs of actual devices, instead of using a MAC that looks like it's fake, like 000000. So let's run the command. Let me show you the command that we're going to use and things are going to get more clear. So the program that we're going to use is called MDK3. Then we're going to give it the interface in monitor mode, and it's 10 in my case. Then we're going to give it the test mode or the attack mode, and that's the authentication DOS mode. So that's going to be A. And then we want to run that against only one specific router, not all routers. So we're going to specify the -A and give it the MAC address of my target router, which is the same MAC address in here. It's the same MAC address that's locked in here, right here. And then we're going to give it -M to tell it to use valid MAC addresses instead of just ones that look wrong. So we're going to do -m, and that's it. We're ready to go. So we're just going to go over the command one more time. We're using a tool called MDK3. We're giving it the interface in monitor mode. In my case, it's mon0. We're telling it we want to use the attack that's referred to with the A option, which is the authentication DOS mode. We're giving it my target access point after the -a. And then I'm giving it -m to use valid MAC addresses. I'm going to hit enter. And I actually misspelled MDK3. I said MKD3. I do that a lot. So it's MDK3. Hit enter. And you might see a result like this saying that the target router does not seem to be vulnerable, but just let it work. Sometimes you might have to let it work up to 50,000 clients. You can see that it's creating fake clients and it's trying to get them to connect to the router, so you can to associate with the router, really, not connect. And you can see that we reached 5,000 clients right here. This could be different from one router to another. So sometimes I had to let this go up to 50,000. In this case, with my home router right here, it usually resets between 5,000 and 10,000. So I'm just going to let it go up to 10,000 in this case. And once it's at 10,000 like this, I'm going to Control-C at the same time to get out of this. And we're going to run wash again to see if the network is still locked. So you can see the last time we ran wash, the network was locked. So I'm just going to give it some time to reset. And then I'm just going to be running wash. The same command that we always use is just wash -i mon0. And keep in mind, this doesn't work against all routers, but it works against a lot of routers really, but not all. So it might not just work for you. So I'm going to hit enter now to look for networks around me. Looks like something went wrong with my wireless card. So I'm just going to disconnect it, reconnect it, enable monitor mode, and run wash again. Okay, so I'm just going to run wash again here. And as you can see now, our target network got reset. And you can see that WPS is not locked anymore. So I can actually start Reaver again, and it'll be able to pick up from where it left the last time. So last time the pin count was left at 0, and right now if I run it again, I'll be able to go to pin count 1, so I'll actually be able to test one more pin. So if we just do Reaver again using the same command that we did before, you can see that it's asking me if I want to continue from where I left the last time. I'm going to say yes, please. Now again, the router got locked again right now, but you can see that we managed to go ahead with one more pin to test one pin right now. And if we do the same now, get the router to unlock and do the same, you'll be able to go to the next pin. Now this network is actually a quite stubborn one. Usually networks lock after 4 or sometimes even 10 attempts. Very rarely they'd lock after 1 attempt only. But again, this just serves with our examples. The main thing is you can unlock most networks using this method using MDK3.